Welcome to Women in the Workforce. Tonight, we are going to be speaking with Dr. Nicole Rothman, who's going to share with us her insights into prioritizing our health and wellness. Welcome, Nicole.
Hello there. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm going to jump right in. And I know that it's just a small group showing up, but hopefully, whoever does get the recording, you'll watch, you'll enjoy it, you'll make some new steps in your life as a result of it. Some of what I'm going to talk about is going to be really new, really kind of shocking. I'm definitely going to talk about new phases in life, like menopause and perimenopause that women go through, and the impact that it has, but also the problems that we're seeing in conventional medicine when it comes to helping women in this stage of life. It really is important, especially for women in the workplace, to start prioritizing their health and wellness, and for us to start educating the younger generations on what it's going to look like for them so that they can get ahead of it and be proactive and not go through the difficulties that many of us are seeing in their menopause transition. So I'm going to jump in and just ask you to eliminate distractions. Give yourself the time. I think that's the biggest problem that we have as women is we don't prioritize ourselves in general. We put everybody before us, our kids, our job, our spouse. Now many of us have to take care of our parents. We also have to look good. We have to volunteer at the community, synagogue or church. We need to be there for our friends. It's really, really stressful. We picked up a full-time job and we never let go of our other full-time job back in the 80s and 70s when we entered the workforce, which really isn't a place designed for women. It was built and was designed for men. So we need to learn how to take care of ourselves with our own rhythms and our own natural hormone fluctuations and things like that, and to better our lives. And so passing this on to younger generations is really important too. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, this training is definitely for you. Maybe you're not feeling as good as you know that you should, and you might need to do things different, and you know it, but you're not really sure what to do or how to do it. You might have even tried Googling, picking up a new supplement, trying this diet or that diet, or this type of workout or that type of workout, but you're really not confident on how to put it all together. And everybody is really unique. So we really want to make sure that whatever you are doing is what's best for you as the unique individual that you are. Maybe you realize health doesn't come in a prescription medication bottle. Maybe you're being given prescriptions and you don't want that, or you're seeing where it's heading, or you've seen your family members go down this route where they just ended up with all these medications, and you're just not really wanting that to be you, and you want to learn a better way. But ultimately, you've got to be willing to take ownership of your health if you want to keep it or get it back. That's the reality, is nobody can change your health but you. I know you need help doing it, or I wouldn't have a practice. And I'll tell you about my practice in a little bit, because this is my team. And I have a wonderful team of health coaches, associate doctor, administrative team. My husband is my practice manager. He is also obviously my partner in life, and he runs the show so that I can be my best version of me and take care of all the people that come to us for help. But it really takes a village of people, and we have an amazing team, and we all practice what we preach. So we're not here just pointing a finger and telling you what to do. We're all living it too. So thinking about you and knowing this is about you while you're watching this, if you have a spouse or you have a significant other and you want them to watch with you, this is certainly okay for them to do that too. Because when it comes to women's health, our hormones are really at the root of most of our issues. And because a lot of times this is not a diagnosed disease, it's really difficult for your partner or spouse to understand what's going on with your health and why it's happening, right? When we don't have cancer or diabetes, which we don't want those things, or heart disease, But we're having mood swings and we're exhausted and we're not sleeping well, or we're foggy brain, or we're getting belly fat, or we're full of aches and pains. It's really hard for our partner to understand why this is happening. So you can have them listen. You can listen first, have them listen too, because there really is a path on how you can correct this. So are you being told it's in your head? So many women tell me they're being handed an antidepressant to manage their symptoms that they've been dealing with. Maybe you're being told it's just stress. I mean, just thinking about all the juggling that we're doing, we're going to definitely talk about stress and how we can prioritize ourselves. How about take this pill for the rest of your life, or that it's just age? Like, we're all going to age, hopefully. Right? So, like, the alternative is not aging, meaning we're not going to be here anymore. And so, why does it have to be that it's expected that we're going to fall apart as we age and get sick, get depressed, get fat, need someone to take care of us? That's what we're being told is just normal aging. That is not normal aging. These are signs that something is wrong. Um, and then your genetics, like if your mom had something, then you're going to have it too, or your family member. And I'm not saying genetics aren't a part of it, but they're a very small part of it, because the reality is genetics really kind of load the gun. It's the lifestyle that pulls the trigger with the genetics. So their lifestyle is what actually activates the genes to turn on or to not turn on. So the lifestyle is really in our power, that's in our control. And so genetics is really only 3 to 5%. So the other 95% of your health outcome is up to who? It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to us as individuals to work on our health and to be proactive and to take care of ourselves, so that we don't have to see genetics get activated. And I've been practiced for 26 years. I've spoken, I don't even know how many times, live and in person, but also online. I do classes every single week. And we've been doing this because this is my passion. This is my absolute passion. You're going to hear this come throughout the day. My name is Dr. Nicole Rothman, as Alyssa introduced me. But back in the day, we did everything in person. And of course, it's changed a few years ago. And when I would do these talks in person, I would always bring my calendar, just open it wide up for people to make appointments with me. And I would do that because they wanted to know what the next step would be with myself and my team. There's really no catch in me being here, but I will tell you this. I am going to deliver information you probably haven't heard before. And because this is going to be about you being proactive and really being in control of your own health and wellness, and I'm going to provide more information tonight than you probably heard from most of your doctors put together. I know you're going to want to know what the next step is. So as a gift at the end of this class tonight, I am going to open up the team's calendar to you for 15-minute phone calls if you would like to speak to us about whatever you're going through with your own health. And so I'm very happy to do that for you. It's like a strategy session so we can see, is there a better path that you could be taking? I'm not here to replace anybody's doctors, but we don't do the same thing as what your regular doctor does. And I'll explain in a bit what that's going to look like. So I do want you to understand tonight why you're feeling the way you are, and not to accept mediocrity as this is how I have to feel for the rest of my life. Everybody should feel amazing, energized, have a clear mind, wake up refreshed in the morning, feel like they get dressed in the morning and their clothes fit well, feel confident, feel really strong at every stage in their life. And I don't think it's acceptable for us to feel or just okay. That's not good enough. We all deserve to feel amazing. So I want to talk about the hormonal system, the endocrine system, why I'm passionate about this, and how the current medical system is really failing you. And it's so interesting because before we started, Alyssa and I had a conversation, and there really is a very different viewpoint from what conventional medicine is showing you. So I'm definitely going to get into that. Some of the tests I'll review with you that may not be getting ordered by your regular doctor, and how you can take action to feel better, avoid hormone replacement, and protect your health naturally. I will share a few people, their testimonials, their stories that I've worked with, so that you just get an idea. I've worked with so many people over the years, thousands and thousands of men and women, to help them resolve their health issues. And this is Marie. She was really skeptical when I met her because she had been to many doctors, even functional medicine doctors, even holistic doctors. She had had all these tests done, and it was all because she had horrible pain, and the pain would not go away. She even had her gallbladder removed. The pain still did not go away. So she was really skeptical because she had tried everything possible, even supplements, even special labs, even. So when we met, it was just kind of a connection that we had where she felt that she could trust somebody again and dive in. And I worked with her in the course of 6 months. She lost 40 pounds. She needed literally like a new wardrobe. The pain was gone in about 2 months that she had been battling for 5 years, which was amazing. Her energy was skyrocketing. She was able to be a better mom, a better businesswoman, and feel empowered in her health and not feel lost and not feel the struggle anymore. So there really is a way to turn these things around, even though you may have tried things before. We have a lot of people that come to us with difficult cases and chronic illness that they haven't had success in other areas, find success with our team. And this is part of the reason, because our habits in America are really about treating the symptoms. We get a symptom, we go to the doctor gives us a diagnosis. What comes with the diagnosis usually is maybe a prescription medication or going to a specialist, and then they give us a prescription medication, and then so it continues. And it's kind of like when you get your check engine light comes on in your car, you're driving around and there's a warning sign, and you go to the mechanic and the mechanic sticks their hand in the car and clicks a button to turn off the light and doesn't fix anything and just sends you on your way thinking your car is okay because the light is off. And that's kind of what we're doing with all these medications, because do the medications really fix the problem? If it's blood pressure, for example, let's say, and I'm not saying you don't need medications. Sometimes we need medications, okay, but a lot of the times we're overusing these medications when we could be really handling it different. And so thinking about blood pressure, for example, we get on a blood pressure medication. How long is the blood pressure medication? How long are we expected to stay on that medication? For the rest of our life, right? Like you go on a drug, you're not necessarily ever going to go off this drug according to what we're being told. Like, this is it now. This is your new thing that you're on. And Shari's nodding her head. Obviously, she knows firsthand that this is what happens. And it's very, very common. But what happens tomorrow if you don't make any lifestyle changes, if you don't shift what you're doing with your health, and then you stop taking the medication, the blood pressure goes right back up, right? It's not that it doesn't work, it goes down. Although some people it doesn't work and they get 5 more of the same type of medication until finally something brings the blood pressure down. But the point being, it's not really a cure or resolving anything. It's just managing symptoms. That's what our system has become, is just managing disease, managing system. And then people are walking around with a false sense of security that they're healthy. But the reality is the real problem underneath that's causing that blood pressure to go up was never addressed. So thinking about the check engine lights, because there's so many that women deal with, if you're having any of these, just start thinking about, am I really resolving this or dealing with this properly? Fatigue, low energy, feeling exhausted, feeling stressed, feeling overwhelmed, things that you used to be able to handle, you're not. Maybe you have a short fuse. You're not as patient as you used to be. Or having hot flashes and night sweats. This is super interruptive. Of course, this doesn't help our sleep. Bowel difficulties, that's something we were talking about. Things like constipation, diarrhea, bloating, reflux, gas. This stuff is not normal. These are signs that there is something wrong. We shouldn't be having these issues. And they're really normalized because there's so many over-the-counter things to do. But the reality is there's some reason why the bowels aren't working correctly. And the digestive tract is extremely important to healthy hormone balance. So that becomes a vicious cycle. Insomnia, right? Just staring at the ceiling for hours a night, waking up at 3 a.m., can't fall back asleep, can't fall asleep, can't stay asleep. Skin conditions like acne, rosacea, psoriasis. There's all different kinds of people aging quicker. than we're used to. These are all signs of hormone imbalances as well. Cold hands and feet, these are signs of thyroid issues. Anxiety and depression, this is mental health month. So interesting, right? That anxiety and depression are actually check engine lights that something else is wrong. So what do we automatically do? It goes right to a medication, right? But your gut has bacteria that actually make neurotransmitters and hormones that your brain needs for healthy mood and even for sleep. So if the gut health isn't right, what can happen to our mood? It can affect our mood as well. And so many people are suffering with that more than ever. And we're living in a more stressful world than ever. So we have to manage our stress more now. Inflammation, feeling tightness and stiffness when we get up in the morning, or sore joints and muscles. And how about the belly fat and the weight gain and the weight loss resistance and the stubborn weight that no matter what you do, it's not coming off. The things that used to work don't work. This is also a sign that there's something underneath. And just doing a diet is just putting a Band-Aid over the check engine light. It's the same thing as blood pressure or any of these others. So knowing that stubborn weight is a sign there's something is wrong, that we've got to look further now to see why this is happening. So what does this plant need to be well? Right? It needs food, it needs sun, it needs water. But our first thought when we see a sick person with symptoms is, what is the disease they have? What's the condition? What's the label? Because once we have the label, then we can put the patented chemical, the medication, to silence that label, right? That big pharma has been paying billions of dollars a year to make us think this way, that this is the only answer. And now they come up with all these, words and letters, IBS and ED. And they make it cute, so it's not so serious. And then they have this commercial with people just like running through the fields with their problems solved, although the side effects are horrific. So it's really not the answer, right? Like the plant, if it was getting food and water and nutrients, well, what if I was pouring motor oil in the soil once a week? Is the plant going to be healthy? Probably it's not going to be healthy. It's going to have toxins, and that's going to disrupt the plant's natural functions. So we've got to come up with a better way, because these prescriptions, they're for life, whether it's cholesterol, thyroid, autoimmunity, depression, diabetes, there's another way. So a little bit about myself. You probably figured this out by now. I'm not a conventional medical doctor. I'm not an MD. I'm not a neurologist. I'm not an endocrinologist. I'm not a gynecologist or a psychologist for that matter. My doctorate is in chiropractic, and my postgraduate focus is in functional medicine. So these are a little bit opposite from each other. And in conventional medicine, like I said earlier, I'm not bashing your doctors. They are doing what they're taught at school. And that is to diagnose and treat and manage diseases and pathology and pharmacology. And so that's what they do. And so in functional medicine, rather than treating symptoms, we're going to look for the underlying cause of those symptoms. And we use specialized labs to do this. And we work side by side with a personalized plan of action, because everybody is really unique, rather than the cookie cutter kind of way that conventional medicine is seeing people, not as individuals. So we're going to individualize a program, a structured program, while we make corrections to your lifestyle, whether that's nutrition or stress management, help work through gut health issues or fitness. This can look different for everybody. And really empowering you with knowledge and tools so that you have your health independence and you know how to take care of yourself for the rest of your life. So like I said, it's not that we don't need conventional medicine. It's what if we could avoid that as much as possible and just learn how to take care of ourselves? Wouldn't that be just like a better way to live anyway, where we don't have to be so dependent on things outside of ourselves? Or even, I don't even want you being dependent on me. I want you to learn how to take care of your body the proper way. Some other things about me, I've been in practice for 26 years, and some of my greatest accomplishments are being a mom, being a wife, being a daughter. I've written a book that's a bestseller on Amazon, Awaken Wellness, Taking Back the Power to Control Your Own Health. Hi, I've worked with
Can I help you?
many, many thousands of people to help them
Mhm.
take back their power to control their health. And, but really, my greatest credentials, I feel, is how I live my life. And I live my life as an example. I want to show you how to do it, show you how to live too. And I feel that's really important of like not just being told what to do, but actually being able to follow someone else's cues and being model after. And I really wasn't always this way. I was actually pre-med back in the day, and this is actually very, very shortly before I got a phone call from my parents. This picture, my aunt, all the way to the right, with them telling me that she was in a coma, that she had a stroke, an aneurysm in her brain, and she was only 47 years old. So I was in my sophomore year of college at the time, and my aunt was on cholesterol and blood pressure medications. She was always on Weight Watchers. I never saw her get to a healthy weight for her body. She was always dieting. And so the way that I started recognizing that there's a problem here is, why did this happen to her if she was doing the things the doctors were telling her to do? And of course, looking back now, I understand that there was inflammation. It wasn't being addressed. And these medications were just putting a band-aid over the check engine lights. And eventually, she died a week later at only 47. So this really sent me on my own kind of introspection at the time, because I wasn't healthy either. And to me, having someone's life cut short like that, it didn't make a lot of sense, because I had problems. I was overweight. I was inflamed. I had asthma, allergies. I was on all kinds of medications, including steroids at the time. My periods were horrendous. Every single month, I was in bed for a whole entire day. The day before my period, I was in so much pain. So I was missing 12 days of my life a year. I was constipated, bloated. I had no confidence. My self esteem was in the toilet. I wasn't dating. I was in school at the time, struggling, brain fog, couldn't remember stuff, would fall asleep while I was reading or studying. I was really fearful what the future would look like. And I was totally disappointed as well in myself. But my parents were also worried. I was even told I might not be able to have kids. It was pretty bad. It was pretty devastating. And in an interesting turn of events, because at this point, all I knew was going to medical doctors with my symptoms, getting the treatment, and I was on at least 10 prescription medications and several over-the-counter medications as well at this time. So here I was in my 20s, early 20s, and I was already really, really sick. And so I began to realize that maybe this isn't the path for me to go on. And in a shocking turn of events, I got in a car accident. I started seeing a chiropractor and getting adjustments for neck pain. And my constipation, the constipation I had, cleared up, and my periods were normal in 2 months. And that's all that I did, was get a chiropractic adjustment. So I started saying, well, you know what? That was really, by the way, that was like in 1993. Chiropractors were not mainstream. This was outside the box, very alternative at the time. And so I realized, well, if I did this thing that they're saying I shouldn't do, or it's like quackery, or it's bad, and I started healing, well, I'm going to do everything I can that is not conventional medicine to see what else I can heal. And I kind of abandoned that path and started going on a path of learning, testing things on myself. And through this 5 year journey, and even more than that, because I've learned so much even in the last 26 years being in practice, I really developed this blueprint of what I'll call my lifestyle blueprint to heal the body. And I was able, within only a few years, to turn my health around, get off every single one of those medications, be medication free, ending up getting married, graduating, starting my practice, and even being able to have children, which was major for me. Different husband now. That was a different husband back then, but that's Troy. He's my current husband, and my two amazing kids. And so funny, because this picture, we took a trip out in Utah, and it just so happens I'm out here for the week right now again. And there's that picture. It was amazing. I was out here back then. It was 3 years ago, that picture. But I think about where I would be if I didn't have that accident, if I didn't go on this path of healing, because I don't think I'd be here in front of you teaching you what to do. That's for sure. I don't even know if I'd be alive. Maybe I would have ended up like my aunt at 47, stroking out. Because I'm way older than her now. I'm in my 50s and living my best life, hiking up to the top of these types of places, feeling good, having full function. So I do this for myself. I do it for my family. And I also do it for the people that trust me with their health too, because I want to be the best I can be so that I can be here for others. So what's your why? Do you believe we all have a purpose? So what's your why for wanting to be your best self, to be your best version of you? So we've got to start prioritizing ourselves, because the least selfish thing that we can do is actually take care of ourselves. We're just going to show up in every way better for everyone and everything that's in our lives. And as women, I started off this way talking about we tend to sacrifice ourselves for everybody and everything in our lives, and everything suffers, including us, as a result. So this really has to change. It's not natural because our society teaches us women to do this. We see our moms, we've seen our grandmothers, like we've been really taught how to be this way. But it's okay, and you can learn and you can change, and you can be happier as a result as well. So some of the unfortunate outcomes that we're seeing as a result of women not taking care of themselves and not knowing what to do or how to put themselves first is that menopause becomes kind of a nightmare. And menopause often starts, perimenopause, 10 to 15 years before menopause happens. So we have menstruating years, right? We have puberty when we menstruate up to age 50, 51, 52. Unless you have a hysterectomy, then you have no more period. But if you still have your ovaries, you're still going to go through menopause. So hysterectomy, a full hysterectomy, you get instant menopause. So anyone that's living to these ages, we are going to be going through some kind of menopausal change. Perimenopause can take 10 to 15 years. So what does that look like? That looks like, if we're not ready, if we don't know what to expect, that lots of symptoms can result. And there are lots of studies coming out now. This one is really interesting. 3,000 women with at least one disruptive menopausal symptom, just one. Maybe it's they're not getting good sleep. Maybe it's hot flashes. Whatever it is, it only needs to take one by the age of 50. And by the time they were 55, almost half have left the workplace. They've quit by 55. So let's think about this for a minute, because I don't know about you. I don't plan on retiring at 55. I got plenty of years ahead of me. But even if they were trying to get to 65, that's 10 years of income lost for their family because of menopause. So we gotta do something different. This isn't working, right? There are about 600,000 hysterectomies every year in this country, costing $5 billion. And the studies are showing 90% aren't necessary, that there are things that we can do to avoid this. Hot flashes alone is costing $340 million a year in health visits. And lost work is $28 million directly to those women in the study. And there was only 250,000 women in the study, costing $28 million in 12 months. That's what it costs. And here's the kicker. Heart disease is the leading cause of women. We're seeing the biggest rise in cardiovascular disease about 10 years after menopause. So let's say your menopause is considered 1 year after your last period. 10 years after that, 1 out of 3 is going to have some cardiovascular event, whether it's a heart attack or a stroke or something along these lines. This is unacceptable. But thinking of hot flashes, right? It's a vasomotor event. And so it's affecting our cardiovascular system. So we've got to start working on getting to these underlying causes and reducing inflammation because we need women in the workplace. We're a really strong force. And there's this mass exodus that's starting to happen after age 55. And our value, it can't happen. We have to do something different. We really need to do something different. Besides the financial cost to our families and ourselves, um, the workforce needs us. We bring creativity, we bring our multitasking brains to the workforce, we bring so much value. So, ultimately, we're kind of being lied to. Unfortunately, there's a lot of money in medications and in surgeries, and the sick care model, unfortunately, really is a sinking ship. We're not seeing these numbers improving. The more medications Americans are on and the sicker we get, and we're just seeing worse and worse outcomes. We're not seeing it get better. And in this country, we have one of the lowest, like our health is one of the lowest of all the developed countries. But the good news is you do have control right now. The question becomes asking yourself, if you knew what to do to feel better, to reverse conditions that are either chronic or new, get off your medications and live your best life, are you willing to do it? Because I started off a lot of this telling you it can't happen without your willingness to want to change. If you want a different result, you have to be willing to do something different. And we know you don't need we know you need the path, and that's where we come in, but you've got to be willing to take ownership of that. So there's a few reasons that this is happening, especially to women. And the first one, if I get my thing to move, the first is toxins. We're bombarded, and women way more than men, just thinking about getting ready in the morning, putting on, doing your hair and your makeup and putting whatever lotions on and perfumes. And we're just exposed to more. But then we have things that maybe we don't see, like hidden infections in in our body. We're cleaning our house with toxic chemicals that are hormone disruptors, washing our clothes and things like that. So we really can have a lot more control as you learn. This is an area we just know that people don't have the knowledge. This is something that we really teach. The things that we can control, right? How can we make our water supply better? How can we improve our air quality? Or can we improve? What can we do to improve the food that we're eating? Because our food is really, really unhealthy in general in this country, but there's a lot of easy things that you can do to start shifting this to make better choices for yourself and your family. So the first, what I call pillar of health, is detoxing the body. And this is a picture of the liver. The liver is extremely involved in your hormone health, actually. Your liver makes cholesterol, and your liver also converts important hormones like thyroid hormone. And you need cholesterol to make estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, ladies. So if your liver is not healthy, not only can it not properly detox you on a regular basis, we're going to see issues with the hormones. So this is a really important step. And detoxification is not a smoothie diet or a juice cleanse. Those things are really surface. We really have to repair the damage that these toxins are causing at a cellular level so your body can use your hormones again. We need to pull the stuff out that's not only in your body, but also your brain. So environmental toxins, toxins in our food, even medications can be causing problems. There's like black label box on the box for Tylenol now, that just Tylenol over the counter is causing a lot of liver damage. So don't think that over the counter medications are any safer just because you can get them without a prescription. So detox means repairing the liver, the kidneys, the gut, clearing out organs and glands, because we get heavy metals and things like that, even in your brain. And we really have to fix at a cellular level if you want to get well. Just think about this. If this was your brain, look at all this dirty lint. Is your brain going to work as well as it could? And your brain is your master computer. So when your brain is all clogged up full of toxins, you're going to have things like brain fog. You're not going to feel great. You're going to be tired. You're going to put on weight. You're going to be sluggish going to the bathroom, have even things like eye floaters. They're going to tell you that's normal aging. That is not normal aging. I see people's eye floaters go away all the time. If it was normal aging, that wouldn't happen. Same thing with brain fog. I worked with a 92-year-old man once, which is unusual. Most 90-something people are not coming to me for a lifestyle change. They're usually just going to do what they're going to do and they don't care at that point. But this gentleman, he had written 40 books in his life and he wanted to write another book. So that's why he was referred by a woman that we worked with that lived in his building. So we worked with him only for 4 months and he was already writing his book by like the third month. And because his brain fog went away. So if it could go away for a 92-year-old person doing the right things, it can go away for you as well. This is Valerie. She came to us with a fatty liver, but she didn't even care about that. All she wanted to do was lose weight. She was dieting, trying meal plans being delivered to her because she was so focused on losing weight and treating the symptom. She didn't realize that these underlying causes of the fatty liver was never going to let her lose the weight, never going to let her have energy or healthy cholesterol levels. And she was depressed and taking medications for that too. So we worked together for back in 2020. I met her during the lockdown time, actually. And she did amazing. She had to come to terms with, okay, if you're gaining 12 pounds a year every year after menopause, what do you think is going to happen if you don't do something now? She said, I'll be 72 pounds heavier in 3 more years. And I said, yeah, it's possible. Yeah. So her liver reversed. Yes, you can reverse a fatty liver. Cholesterol normalized. Actually, she didn't lose 40 pounds because she gave this testimonial before her final weight that she got to. She actually lost 50 pounds. More energy with more restorative sleep, not even needing as much sleep and off all her medications. So it's pretty amazing. So let's talk about some hormones that are involved because a lot of women come to us with weight as a problem, just like Valerie, and they want to lose weight. But you can diet and exercise all day long. If you don't address the hormones, you're going to be spinning your wheels because there are fat burning hormones and we have hundreds of hormones. I can't possibly go over every hormone today. I just want to give you a general idea. And we have fat storing hormones. So the fat storing hormones, these are the ones like insulin, estrogen, and cortisol that are usually involved in women over the age of 40. And so insulin, this is a big one because this means if there's insulin resistance, then we're going to have problems with estrogen and cortisol. If you have problems with cortisol, you're going to have problems with insulin and estrogen. Like they're all friends. If you have problems with cortisol, you're also going to suppress some of the fat burning hormones like testosterone and thyroid hormone. So many people think they have hypothyroid, but they really just have adrenal problems. And so the body you have an innate wisdom. Your body, whether you like it or not, it is going to adapt you to the stress that your body is under for survival. That is its purpose. Whether you like how it responds or not, your body's innate wisdom is going to be there for you to survive. So it has all these seesaw hormones. Like if one goes up, another one goes down, and so on and so forth. So thinking about, if you want, you can type these in the chat. You don't have to, but thinking about what you see for yourself. If you're dealing with things like belly fat, brain fog, low energy, sleep disturbances, or digestive troubles, these are the 5 cardinal signs that you're having imbalances with your hormones. And the way that your body distributes the fat will often tell us which one is the biggest problem. So this first picture is estrogen. When we have estrogen dominance, we will often see more fat on the thighs, the hips, the booty, and the breasts. And estrogen dominance, this is where we're going to see things like fibroids, heavy bleeding, very common as we're moving into the menopausal years. That's what ends up often leading to the hysterectomies. But also, if estrogen is not detoxing properly, we can also see this connected with female cancer. So this is really important. And we do testing that tells us how your body is processing estrogen. That's more important than knowing your levels, actually, is how is my body detoxing this out, or is it detoxing it out? And if it's not, we're going to go back and look at the liver and your nutrients and toxins. Adrenals. This is that cortisol I mentioned a moment ago. This is take your booty from the back and put it in the front. The body is losing muscle in the big muscle groups, the arms, the legs, and their butt is flat because now it's in the front. That's the adrenal cortisol stress. And when someone's in fight or flight, more often than not, this is what they end up looking like? And the sad part about this is this person is so often at the gym, working hard, trying to get that belly off, trying to change their body, and they're just stressing their body out even more. Yes, exercise can be a bad stress if you're already stressed out. We do need to move, but the right kind of exercise and not overdoing it is extremely important as we move into perimenopause and menopause, because we're usually already overstressed, and this cortisol hormone is part of that. Having too much of that is also going to drive up inflammation. And like I said before, it's going to suppress hormones like thyroid. So thyroid, we usually see gaining weight evenly all over because every cell of your body really needs thyroid hormone. And then we have the liver. So the liver is when the belly's kind of high up and it's hard. And the fat is really on the organs. It's called visceral fat. And the belly is more fluid because the liver is so sluggish. We're now that it's filling up with fluid. So now we're going to see insulin resistance, high cholesterol, diabetes, pre-diabetes, and usually the belly looks like this. But the liver, like I said, I'm going to keep saying it, it's involved with all of these. It is involved with your hormone production and your body's ability to detox. So it's really, really important. But going back to the adrenals, so I mentioned earlier that toxins can disrupt your body's ability to use your hormones. So you could be making hormones, you could be taking hormones from the outside. It doesn't mean your body can take them up. But the other part of the problem in perimenopause and menopause, and remember, this can start at age 35. So this is a lot of women. This is like almost our whole adult life in a way, right? Like I always think of us at 30, we're adults. But what happens in perimenopause is the brain is disconnecting from the ovaries, and now the adrenal glands are taking over producing your sex hormones. So if you've been stressed out, burning the candle at both ends, your adrenals are going to be too worn out and tired to take on their coworkers' 3 new jobs of making estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So conventional medicine just says, we're in menopause, we just don't make them anymore. That's not true. Your adrenals should make enough hormones for you to have a good sex life, libido, and be able to have sex because you have lubrication, have a good brain on your clear mind, have energy, healthy sleep, be a healthy weight, have good cardiovascular health. It's not going to be enough to have babies and cycles, but it should be enough that you can function. So if those 2 things aren't happening, the adrenals aren't able to produce those 3 hormones because they're too stressed out, and sex hormones are never going to be a priority over your survival. Like that's going to be an easy thing to let go of. So if they're too busy surviving, they're not going to do a good job at that. And then at a cellular level, the body needs to be able to use these hormones. So that's why detoxification is so, so important. Aside from emotional stress, I want you to really start thinking about what causes your adrenals to weaken. It's not just day-to-day stress in life. That's one part of it. There's also poor nutrition, anemias, negative thinking, emotional trauma, something you maybe think that you've resolved from your childhood, it still can be in there. Lack of sleep, liver dysfunction, poor drainage. So if you're not pooping, you have poor drainage. Food sensitivities, toxins, heavy metals, biotoxins. I mean, we live in Florida. We deal with mold constantly. That is a biotoxin that disrupts our healthy function. It's almost impossible to avoid in Florida. You walk into a store, it's there. I've seen it in restaurants. I've seen it. I mean, I'm very hyper aware. Unfortunately, it makes me not enjoy myself sometimes because I don't want to be in places that you can literally see it. Sometimes they don't even change the ceiling. They just leave the water spots and things like that. Hidden infections. You can find hidden infections in places where there's surgical sites, root canals, where your wisdom teeth were pulled. This is a whole conversation in itself, but that can be stressing your body. Autoimmune diseases, unresolved glucose, impaired glucose levels, chronic inflammation, and then, okay, stress. We talked about that, but there's 3 kinds of stress. There's physical stress, like sitting at a computer too many times a day, the harsh blue light that we have to deal with all the time, EMFs, falls, injuries, car accidents, not exercising enough, over exercising. These are all physical stresses. Then we have chemical stress. This is, like we talked about earlier, food, air, water, or makeup, or our laundry detergent, and so on. This can go on and on. And then we have emotional stress. So there are really three types. So we've got to address all three types if we want to really work on repairing our adrenals. So when it comes to finding answers, a lot of people will go to their doctor, like we're taught. You get a symptom, you go to their doctor. But unfortunately, this is what I hear all the time from my practice members and from people that are finding me. Their doctor is saying they're normal on their labs, but they still don't feel well. Really, really common. This is not good enough. First and foremost, you should always listen to your instincts. As a woman, we are the most intuitive. We know our bodies. Our body is a messenger telling us exactly what is right and what is not right. So to shut that down is just, first of all, I think that's just not right. It's wrong. We need to learn how to honor our bodies and the messages that we're getting. So if you don't feel right, believe yourself and continue to find answers. But why does this happen? Well, there are two reasons this happens. And unfortunately, going back to the broken healthcare system, it's not just about bad outcomes. It's not just about big pharma. The other half is insurance. And we all know what Medicare is. It's like the gold standard. It's our federal government insurance. Well, Medicare, when they set a standard, it filters down into the private insurance as well. So it kind of just becomes the general rule. And here's Medicare's policy: care that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong and enhance your quality of life is not considered medically necessary. So it's not payable. So this is kind of interesting, isn't it? That if you really think what your insurance card does, because they use words like this is preventative care, right? Like your mammogram, they call that preventative. Is that prevention? Is a mammogram preventing breast cancer? No. It's finding it. That's how we find it. It doesn't prevent anything. As a matter of fact, it could make more opportunities because it's x-raying your breasts. And we know x-ray can cause cancer. So this is just very interesting wording that we've kind of accepted and has become part of the language. But the reality is there's nothing that insurance really pays for that prevents disease. It's just like your car, right? Your car, your insurance doesn't pay for your oil changes, the maintenance, your gasoline to keep it running. It pays for the crash. Same with your homeowners. It pays for the flood. It doesn't pay for the plumber to come plunge your toilet. It pays for the crisis. So where on earth do we get this idea that our health insurance is any different? Because it really doesn't pay for the things that help us stay or be well. It pays. I know it pays for some tests, but if we're just going to hand you a bunch of prescriptions once we get those tests, it's not really promoting health or prolonging our life. It's just putting a Band-Aid, again, like we talked about. So, if you want a better quality of life, if you want to prevent what you saw your parents or your grandparents or a family member or friend go through, maybe you just want to thrive instead of survive and just kind of be getting by in life, you've got to do something different. You really need to kind of step up and take ownership of your health and make your health a priority, because it's a choice, and you've got to start taking better care of yourself, because this isn't coming to save us. It's just not. So that's the first reason, because the doctors are part of that broken system. So whatever they are told that they can test, they have to test. And the standard of care are tests like TSH. So the standard of care is we're going to do these few tests, and that's it. If we don't find the problem with these few tests, then there's nothing wrong with you. So TSH is a standard test that they use to diagnose hypothyroid. And the ranges, does anybody know how they come up with the ranges? So the ranges are determined by taking 95% of the population and taking an average, and that's what they give the ranges. But the question is 95% of America healthy? Well, definitely not. As a matter of fact, 70% of 40 and up adults in our country have at least one chronic degenerative disease already at 40. They're already diagnosed with one, 70% of Americans. So they're comparing us to sick people. So the ranges are huge. So what we do in functional medicine, this is one of the ways that this name function, I like to call it functional wellness, but how we got the name partially is because we use functional tools and test ranges. So we're going to close down the ranges and we're only going to compare you to healthy people. So here's what happens, right? Let's say your TSH is a 4.0. They're going to tell you you're normal and your hair could be falling out. You could have cold hands and feet, be depressed, have slow bowels, be gaining weight. And you can have a low thyroid, but it's not going to show up on the lab. So using these big ranges is one of the reasons why people are being told, and this is just one example of many, that they're normal when they're not. I can't go through all of them. There's so many tests. And the other part is the insurance company is dictating a certain test. So these are the standard tests, TSH, and maybe you'll get T4 as well. But unfortunately, T4 is not the active form. Our liver converts T4 into T3. So we need to do more tests to figure out, where is it going wrong? Is it the thyroid? Is it the brain? Is it the liver? Is it your gut? Why is it that you have too much cortisol? There's so many reasons the thyroid can be off. So we got to do more tests to figure out what's going on. Is it autoimmune? There's a lot of people that are not undiagnosed autoimmune thyroid. So that's another issue altogether. So Rhonda, she came to us because she had diabetes, actually, and she was super depressed because they were only telling her to take these drugs. And she's a health consultant. She didn't want anything to do with that. She called the doctors ill-equipped to give her any answers but medications. But she also had a thyroid issue. She had been spending thousands of dollars on hair pieces, and she couldn't lose weight. I met her. She was on her way to vacation in Michigan. So the first 2 months that I worked with her, she was living on a boat on a lake in Michigan. And by the time she came back, she had already lost 20 pounds. Her hair was growing back. She was off her allergy and her reflux medication, and her diabetes numbers were almost completely normal. So how does that happen? Don't we all gain weight when we go away on vacation? Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? But because she had a team coaching her, she had a plan, she was able to actually take care of herself even on vacation, because it doesn't need to be difficult. So I'm going to pop ahead because there's other labs like cortisol that we do need to also test, but it is getting late. But the question becomes, are you willing to do something different? And the way that we put this all together, first and foremost, we have what is called our blueprint. And detoxification is the foundation of the blueprint. We cannot get the hormones to balance properly without this step. I can't stress it enough, the heavy burden that we are all dealing with. This is very specific protocol using high quality, superior supplements and giving you tools to do things to help your detox at home, because everybody's different. Nutrition, you've got to understand nutrition. What it is that works for you may be different from someone else. How can we use nutrition to bring inflammation down in our body, heal our bodies, because food should be used as medicine. Fitness is critical, but many of the people that I work with, they're too tired, they're not getting good sleep, they're in too much pain, they're unable to exercise. So we'll meet you where you are. Let's just start super light, super slow, or maybe just walking, but we have to move our bodies, because you see this man in the background, bedridden. If we don't put muscle on our bodies, we're going to be losing muscle. And that's how we end up like this guy in the background. And no one wants to lose their independence. No one wants to suffer the future consequences, because after age 35, we lose muscle every year. So if we're not putting it back on, we're losing it. So we teach you how to do that in 30 minutes, 3 times a week. And some of you will need to start with 5 minutes, and that's fine too, as long as you're moving your body in the right ways and not overstressing it. We want to see your hormones balance out natural. Between lifestyle, supplements, all the changes that we're making, we naturally see this happen. We rarely need to use hormone replacement with anybody. There'll occasionally be someone that is just struggling to deal with the underlying root causes. So we need to use oils or creams or supplements to help their process temporarily. But our goal is that you can reach hormone balance without hormone replacement. We really work hard to have that happen. And it is definitely possible. We see it every day. So the last is mentoring, because the reality is people need accountability, they need guidance, and they need customization in order to get to their goals. If you wanted to learn how to fly a plane, you could probably Google how to do it, but you may not want to take your family out on that flight if you're going to do it that way. You could probably read a book. That would be fine too. But the reality is you need to go to class. You need to learn flying. You need to understand it. And then you need to practice. You need to get in the plane, and you're going to want an expert next to you to help you, guide you, support you while you are flying this plane. So if you hit some bumpy air, you don't crash and burn the plane. And yeah, that would be bad. So that's really what we want, and what we built for the people that we work with is a system of mentoring, an educational curriculum, and taking all these pillars of health together, because the average doctor's visit in America is 7 minutes. There's no way your doctor can help you make corrections to your lifestyle, your stress management, your nutrition, your fitness, whatever it is, in 7 minutes. It's just not going to happen. So you need the time. We need to work together to help you create a customized plan to heal your body. And that's why we have a team full of people to do it. So we put it all together. We use all-inclusive customized programs. And if you are missing, if you are missing one of these pillars of health, right? Let's say you're working out and you're eating right, but you don't have these other pillars. Are you going to get there? Is it going to work? It probably won't. These are pillars of health, because if you're missing one, the ceiling's going to come down. We need all of them. And that's what I learned through my own health journey, is it takes a system. So we can get off the sinking ship and get on a super yacht to the health of our dreams. And getting involved is really, really critical. It's not just like, don't just show me, don't tell me. Let's do this. Let's get involved together, doing the work together. But procrastinating is never going to get anyone to their goals. We all have to live our best lives. Every day we're alive is important. No one should be wasting their time sitting home on the sofa watching life pass them by. We all deserve to live our best lives, but you've got to do something different. All the people I shared their testimonials with you, they took the next step. And that's that 15-minute call. I want to tell you about that. And then I'm going to take your questions, because I know Alyssa is going to have some questions. But the 15-minute call, this is just a free call that we're going to open up the calendar. I have the link. I have to get the link, and I'll pop it in the chat for you guys. We're going to talk about what's going on with your health. What are your health concerns? How is your health affecting your life? And what are your goals? What do you want to see for your health working with my team and I? And if we feel we can help you, then we move on to a consultation with me on Zoom. And so as long as you guys get your call through this process, then you will get a discount on that as well. So I will tell you that we do have a little rule that we had to create, because some people in the past booked appointments and they didn't show up. And so there is a refundable deposit just to hold your spot. The deposit is only $47. You'll get it back if you don't go forward with an appointment. And if you do, we'll apply it to the next appointment. Okay. But I just want to let you know that's how we do things. This is about you, your health, your wellness, and taking that opportunity. So let me get the link for you, and I can take your questions while we're doing that.
Thank you
Maybe.
so much, Nicole. This was really, really great. Very educational. I learned a lot. I think, you know, from what you and I were talking about before, I was able to identify certain, like you said, the root causes of some of my problems. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was very interesting.
Good.
I I was interested, when you talk about that whole, you know, the whole, I guess, marriage between hormones and nutrition and detoxing and all that. but yet you mentioned you don't do hormone replacement therapy. So, well, I guess it's through nutrition that you're seeking to elevate the hormones. Is that what it
Well,
is?
it's through it, well, nutrition is one of the pillars. So, detoxification is the foundation. That's the biggest foundation because that's what's repairing the hormone receptors themselves. Detox is a repair process. And then we got to get rid of the stuff that's damaging the cells in the first place. So we got to get that out of the body and the brain. So you can eat all the best foods. If you do not repair that damage, you can't even absorb your vitamins and minerals properly. So detox is the most critical step. And yes, we want to use food to heal your body too, learning what that looks like because we really have very toxic food, very unhealthy, inflammatory food. There's bad oils, there's bad processed chemicals, and there's so much garbage in our food supply, and people don't really understand what that's supposed to look like. So being knowledgeable, but knowing, hey, are there foods that are creating inflammation? That's different for Alyssa, then it's different for Sheila, then it's different for Sherry, then it's different for Dr. Nicole. We're not the same. Our chemistry is different. So that has to also be worked through. So nutrition needs to also be personalized. Of course, moving our bodies in the best way. We want to repair the gut. If the gut is not working right, again, you can eat all the best foods, but if you're not digesting, assimilating, and then eliminating properly, we're not going to see healthy hormone balance. There's a microbiome that is healthy gut flora. There's so many pieces to this that we just put them all together. And stress management, managing the physical, chemical, and emotional stresses, all of them. And like that, and like I said, that's why the mentoring is so important because we identify that in the coaching sessions, working with people, because what your stress is going to be different than the next person too. Right. And we also have our own history, our own traumas, things that we're just all so unique. It can't be cookie cutter. So we bring it all together. And then we also provide literally an educational curriculum so that you know how to take care of yourself and you feel empowered with your health and that you're in control again.
What's one thing that we can begin today on our own to start that detox process? Drinking more water. What do you suggest? What can we do?
Um, it's a loaded question. It's a loaded question. Um, sure, you can drink more water, but what kind of water are you drinking? So, detox, we use supplements as the biggest, most powerful piece in detoxification. Water helps flush the toxins that the supplements are helping to move from the cells and the brain. So like we want to shake the tree and then we want to flush all those leaves down the toilet. We want to get everything out. So it can be very comfortable. This doesn't have to be, people think of detox, they think it's going to be miserable. It really shouldn't be that way. So there's specialized protocols, but there are things that you can do that I would say are simple, like eating in a time restricted window. For example, let's say you only eat within a 10-hour window every single day. Well, that leaves 14 hours where you're fasting. So you're giving your body a chance to lower your insulin, which is a big problem in America. And it's free. You don't have to do anything for that. There are studies that show that people that literally don't change their diet and they go in a time restricted eating window of 8 hours, they actually negate all of the inflammatory effects of eating crappy food. I don't know if that's the best thing to do anyway, because you might not feel that great during that 8-hour window if you're eating junky food. But these are real studies that they found those things that cause high cholesterol, that cause insulin resistance and pre-diabetes, diabetes, things like that. That when we went into a time restricted window where there's fasting going, so this was a 16-hour fast every day. that they were kind of negating those negative effects and actually losing weight too. So that's a really great tool. For women, you have to be really careful to not over fast. Of course, all of these studies are almost always done on men. It's really hard to find studies done on women with fasting, unfortunately. And for women, remember, we have cycles in a different way. Men cycle in 24 hours, women cycle in 28 to 30 days. And so our menstrual cycle, even when we're not menstruating anymore, we still have a cycle that you can go by the moon. So thinking ovulation is almost always full moon. So we can gauge, like I'm in menopause. So I go by the full moon. Where am I at in my month? And I structure when I'm fasting or not fasting based on our cycle. So there's when the hormones are high, you want to keep fasting low. So meaning when you're ovulating or right before your period, then they drop on the other weeks. Like the week of your period, if you get your period, that's a fabulous time to fast, actually, because your hormones drop down to very, very low in that time. So there's lots of things I've learned working with so many women and in my own body over the years, but fasting and trying to like reduce that eating window is a really easy tool. Something else you could do that's really easy that can help with your circadian rhythm and sleep is just get up in the morning and go outside. Like, just please go outside. We're dealing with artificial light all the time. If you're even watching the sun an hour to an hour before sunrise to an hour after, it doesn't mean you have to be out there that whole time. But even if you're out there for 20 minutes, no sunglasses, no contacts, no glasses, nothing, just being able to look at the sky getting lighter, you're going to help set your circadian rhythm better. If you're looking at the TV for the last 2 hours before you go to bed, or your computer or your phone, you need to stop doing that because your brain does not make melatonin when you're looking at blue light. So you're not going to produce that melatonin hormone for better sleep. So these are easy things to reduce stress. Yeah,
Thank you.
easy and free.
Yeah, thank you.
So the water is a complicated question, because what you're drinking could be making you more toxic. But these are things that do help with detox because every organ of your body has a natural circadian rhythm. It's not just sleep and wake. So there's a lot of really cool things out there, and using the sun helps a lot. The times of day that we eat, the times of day that we exercise. So it's really just
Is it
finding.
better to exercise in the morning or at night?
Well, at night, it depends on what kind of exercise you're doing. If you're doing something rigorous, it is definitely not advised because you're going to raise your cortisol and now you're going to have trouble sleeping. So more rigorous could be during the day, either the morning or in the early afternoon. And then anything later in the day, I would definitely be maybe just walking or something easier on the body because you're going to spike your cortisol. And then we need our cortisol to be low when we go to bed. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yes. Any other
Thank
How are
you.
you
questions?
feeling, Shari?
I put the link in the chat. And if
Oh,
you want,
okay.
you can also send that out when you're sending this video out. Please send that
Yeah.
scheduling link as well.
Yeah.
And our phone number, because just in case if someone can't get a time that's working for them, just give us a call. We'll help you with that.
Okay.
Any other
Yeah.
questions?
Thank you very much. This was informative.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. I got the link.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. And I really appreciate you spending time with us this evening. Well, actually, what time is it out there in Utah right now? It's not even
2
evening.
hours earlier.
Oh, okay. So you're just getting ready for evening, for dinner. And Shari, feel better. I'm glad you
Thank you.
joined us. And
Yes.
Sheila, thank you too for joining us. And I will send out the recording in a couple of days to everybody else. Okay. Have a
Yeah.
great night. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.